Hi, my name is Kedesha, and this is the story of my little black jacket.
Two friends from an island in the Caribbean set out on a journey to find inspiring stories told by the persons who live them.
So, with a camera bag and an open mind, they learned that the best part of life is not the destination, but
The journey.
That little black jacket growing up symbolized my fearlessness to face a quote unquote dragon or somebody I was afraid of. I was afraid of my father, very afraid of him. That little black jacket growing up meant that when I put it on, all my fears are gone. I can express myself. I can be bold to say what I want, to ask what I want without stuttering. Because yes, I used to stutter a lot. I think that's why I talk so fast. My little black jacket also was that cape of courage that would take me through all my exploits and adventures all over the world as I grew into a teenager and now as an older woman. Every single time that I feel like I hit a brick wall, and not so much a brick wall, but somebody making a comment like, you're not good enough, what you're doing is foolishness, it brings me back to what my father said and my disappointment. It brings me back to the place where when I went to Andrews, I was a class clown. Like to make everybody happy, like to make everybody laugh. I guess it was my way of just being happy when I couldn't be happy in the place where I should be happy, and that was my home. Me growing up, sometimes I got confused because even though I lived with both parents, my brothers, my father wasn't always around. I don't feel like in the years where it meant the most, he was there. I know that he had good things to offer. Maybe he didn't know how to, but this affected us. It affected me a lot as the first child, the girl. They say girls are more emotional. I was always afraid to talk to him. I was always afraid to approach him. I was always afraid to just even express myself to him. And so I found a best friend in my mother because she also knew I was afraid. She oftentimes would tell me, all right, Janelle, everybody call me Janelle. All right, Janelle, put on your black jacket when you're going to talk to your father and just be brave and be strong and just, talk to him. And even though I did it, I used to wonder, why do I have to go through all of that just to talk to my father? It made me feel so fearful of my father even now. I can't say certain things that he did to me that affected me when I was younger because I just can't bother get into it, or I'm afraid, or I feel like he's going to be so defensive and maybe what I'm saying is just a fragment of my imagination, and I know it's not. Not only for men, but for women, for people in general, you have to be careful the person that you have in your circle. The circle of friends, I don't think my father had the best influences around him. He himself didn't even know that. And what killed me the most, my father is so bright. He can tell you every single thing about news, internal affairs, everything about current news, everything. He talks about everything and he speaks well. But he never had that personal, what would I call it now? He never had the personal growth to really exude a kind of character to his kids that we could say, yo, my father, no, it wasn't there. I never thought anybody believed in me because my father would always say, I remember a particular time he'd say, boy, you're a big disappointment. And maybe he was upset. Maybe things were going on between him and my mother. He didn't understand how to parent. He probably just didn't understand. But at the end of the day, it affected us. single thing I could just to try to get ahead. And I felt like my father never noticed those things. I felt like he didn't see in me what a little girl would want their father to see in them. And that crushed me. It crumbled me to the point where I just felt belittled. I still never feel like, I have this feeling like you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. You need to do more. I remember that feeling came over me in recent years. You're not doing enough. You're not doing more. You need to do more. And that's the reason why I am so purposeful about pursuing my passion. The things I love to do and to do it well. And to give it my all. And to not, again, maybe it just stuck in my head here, a disappointment. And it really hurt, but I have overcome. I am overcoming. There's this one time when I went away to Cuba to study, just for excursion, because I love Spanish. The opportunity came up, so I went. I was very happy because at the time my mother wrote a letter to her workplace asking them to give me a grant. At the time it was $30,000. And I was so happy because my father was living in Jamaica at the time. He really didn't want me to go to Cuba. He never said the point or the sense in it. My mother was very adamant that no matter what you're going, so we're going to try to get a sponsorship so that we can get the money to go. And I remember starting to get my stuff together, getting everything ready to go to Cuba, and just being so excited, waiting for a response from my mother's workplace, which seemed like it would work out. And more so because one of the managers said to her that, yeah man, we would love to do that. Sounds like a good idea. Lo and behold, when I got the check, remember the trip was $30,000 at the time. All I got was $3,000 from them. I didn't know what I was gonna do. My mother didn't know what she was gonna do. My father was okay, so we had to ask, but we had to try get him in on it to make him understand and believe, said this is a good thing. So get the money together. And that was a struggle because trying to get all those monies together, my mother was adamant that we have to get it together because, she wants our daughter to get the experience. She loves Spanish, so she wants to help her to hone this skill or this passion or this love or this interest. And even though my father, we're in a tug of war with him about him not wanting me to go, maybe it never seemed right financially wise, I don't know. But I ended up going. And when I got off that plane in Cuba, I had no luggage. I had no clothes. All I had was a little shoulder bag with food. Looking at everybody around me, happy everybody got their luggages. I was the only one. And I just said, what am I to do? Luckily, my teachers, I had a little change of clothes in my hand luggage. My teachers had to carry me to just get a few pieces of clothes, to get 2 pieces of things, just so I could survive the trip. The little money I had, the little money that I scraped to get, ask a little family member here, ask somebody there, was scraped to get the money, I had to use it to buy some clothes, just so I could feel comfortable. And even though everything leading up to the trip would kind of crush me, I made me feel like, geez, it's such a stress, it's such a strain, it's like you're pulling teeth. Still went on the trip. I had a good time, came back home, and got back my luggage a couple weeks after. And even in those moments where I felt like I didn't know what I was gonna do, I remember putting on that black jacket just to be brave, to brace yourself for anything that may come. That black jacket analogy came from in my home, just having on this black jacket, this make-believe imaginary jacket as a kind of defense, so that You know, if my father said something, it would bounce off of me, or it wouldn't affect me as much, or I would be brave enough. So everything I went through is like I felt like I had to be brave and I had to be bold and I had to just try to put the best out there. And sometimes when you have to be brave and you have to be bold, it's like you push away the vulnerable part of you, and that's not always a good thing. It's always good to have that one person who will encourage you and tell you that, yeah, man, you can do it. I had that in my mother, and I'm very grateful, irrespective of everything that we went through, everything that she went through. And I remember seeing a certain strength in my father, but again, maybe because he didn't have the right persons around him, he didn't know how to, reflect certain qualities that would help the growth of his children. And while growing up, he said one thing to me that I'll never forget. And he said that to me because I went on an interview for a job at Caribbean Airlines as an air hostess. And I didn't get the job. I was very confused. You're young, you're going on interviews, you're practicing. I didn't get the job. I got dressed up. My father took me down there. There were moments where he would jump up and just take us to places that we need to go, even if it's he would take us. He took me there. I didn't get the job, and he said to me, Janelle, it's all right, it's okay, because not everything that you want is good for you at the moment. That's one great thing he said to me, and I'll never forget it. I was working at Grand Bahia Principe when I got the scholarship to go to Spain to do my master's degree. And I thought it would be a job, but it turned out maybe it was just a little experience, because that experience of living away from your family, in the country. I was in Ocho at the time, working in this new environment with new persons was hard. It was very hard. And I was coming off the mindset of me being a disappointment, but I still went and I worked there anyway. And I remember the job was so tough. It was so tough. The position was the assistant spa manager, but the lady who I was working with, she was Brazilian and she gave me a hard time. I remember she said to me, how can you be just an assistant and you dress like you are the director? Wow. I remember how badly she used to treat me. I wouldn't be able to sit in the office. I would have to be outside, attending to the guests and just putting on that black jacket. They cut my pay drastically. I couldn't understand why. What I had in the contract was not what I got. It was so crushing. I remember one morning I woke up very determined to go down to the head office in Montego Bay. I didn't know how to take a bus to Montego Bay. I just asked questions. I just had to be brave. And so the black jacket really helped me in that situation. Even more so that when I went on to the minibus, I met a man. He was a prisoner. His name was Peter. I'll never forget his name, because at that time I was in my muddy situation and he was in a muddy situation. And he gave me a Bible and he said to me, this helped me. And that Bible has never left my side. It went with me to Spain, it went with me to France, it went with me to Italy, it went with me all over the world. Because it was just so symbolic at the time of, hope. And when I took that Bible and I went down to the office in Montego Bay, trying to fight with them verbally and showing them that it cut my pay, I remember I got nowhere. Nothing happened for me. I went back to work feeling crushed. I went home to the place where I rented at the time with two older ladies, and I remember going on my knee and praying and saying, God, I applied for that scholarship. I really need to get it. I need to get that scholarship so bad, because I felt like I was always running. Wow. Now I see it. I was always running. running from facing my emotions, running from putting on the black jacket, running, but at the same time still being brave, but not facing up to the bigger thing, my emotions, being vulnerable. And I've learned how to do it. I remember when I was looking for a way and I come up and I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. She said, come back home if you want, come back home. That day when I went to resign, I got a call from the Spanish embassy here in Jamaica, and the lady said to me, Kedesha, finally, you got your scholarship. Trust me, let me tell you something. Every single debilitating thought and word was spoken over my life just zoops through my head. It was such a great sense of achievement. It's like I say, yes, that thought of being an underdog is like those shackles felt like I was free. Because that meant so much to me. It meant that I could get to go away from my home, learn something new, grow some more, leave my family, you know? And when I went to give in the resignation, the lady said to me, well, I was gonna fire you even if you didn't resign. So it's like, she was trying to crush me, even though it's like I conceded. I said, all right, let me leave you so you can get to run your own show. And so a lot of the situations have really shown me that, Kedesha, everything seems like they will come to crush you, to crumble you. But shine anyway. Even if somebody think that you're not doing it how they think you should do it, do what makes your heart smile. Because today, at 35 years old, I'm very grateful to God for everything I've achieved. I still want more. Sometimes I beat up on myself. I'm learning, I'm growing. I am much stronger than my last disappointment. I am even more humble than my last accomplishment. And I'm even more hopeful than the last dream I had. I'm not an underdog. I'm an overcomer. I'm an achiever. I am learning, I'm growing, and I'll never stop saying that, because for me, growth is very important. It means that you are maturing, you're expanding, and you're trying to be a better version of yourself. I have learned so many valuable lessons from my journey, from having to kind of bury some emotions because you want to do what is best for everybody. And sometimes doing what is best for everybody kills you deep down. And let me tell you, sometimes my heart is hurt, but I thank God that I really grew up in a Christian home. So I know what it is to really pray, to believe in God, to really trust God wholeheartedly for everything. But there still is, at the end of the day, where I just feel like a conversation needs to be had with myself and my father, because sometimes hurt covered is hurt. It just hurts more. How do I deal with the hurt? I don't deal with it good all the time, and I tell you the truth. I don't deal with it well. Sometimes I cry. I find solace in, I write a lot. I write poems a lot. I love writing. One of my big things is helping somebody else, telling them how to be better from something that would make them worse. Telling them that not because you had a disappointment, it means that you're down and out. Not because somebody said something bad about you, it means that it's going to define your destiny, or it's going to shape the person that you become in the end. Grow no matter what. Because if I had allowed everything that happened in my childhood to really dictate the pace of how I achieve everything that I've achieved to date, then I would have been just still crumbling. And I always told myself I don't want to crumble. I do not want to be confined to anybody's idea of what I need to be or what I should be, because I strongly believe that God all gave us a purpose. Everybody have a purpose to serve. If you and I are doing the same thing, it doesn't matter A friend said to me that nothing is original anymore. It's just all about being unique. And I'm all about being unique. My thing to little girls, to teenage girls, to young adults, be who you want to be. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be anything that society is trying to force on you. But make sure it's something purposeful, something meaningful. Today, I never thought that I would be an author of 3 books. I never thought I would have done international speaking gigs. I never thought that I would teach children. I absolutely, positively love to teach kids. Teaching them Spanish and French is like it invigorates me. It just gives me that kind of vim. One of the purposes that I have, which is to empower persons, to talk to persons. And then sometimes I wonder, how can you empower somebody from a place of hurt? Yes, you can. You absolutely can. My big thing is helping persons to discover their passion, to populate their purpose. Today, I am an author. I've written 3 books, 2 motivational books, as persons would call it, but I call it empowerment. An academic book, because I also teach Spanish and French. That's my first love. I love languages, absolutely love it. My father didn't agree with that because, you know, the typical parents, they think you should be an economist or a lawyer or a doctor or something that society's standards would rather you move into because it seemed more acceptable. But that wasn't me. I was never the one to fit in. I always wanted to do my thing, to stand out as I see it now. Never saw it like that then because I never felt like I was made of anything good, you know? Like anything with a lot of juju, as I always say. I don't necessarily think about a black jacket because it no longer defines me. I know who I am. I know what I need to say when I need to say it. And I've learned many things from that same black jacket. I just don't need it as my prop. I am my prop. My mindset is my prop. My strength of character is my prop. My belief in myself is my prop, not a black jacket. I'm grateful for it. It helped me, but it also unraveled the better me. My name is Kedesha, and I no longer need that black jacket. Look here, me dash it to a long time.
My name is Damon Makala, and I may never walk again.